I saw one of the comments from a viewer named Gokul who mentioned Rook G8. So Rook G8 is a very interesting move. That's actually one of the moves that I wanted to discuss in this particular position. So after Queen D4, Rook G8 allows Black to free up, defend the G7 bishop. Okay, so to the viewers, can you just quickly confirm if I'm live? I mean, if I'm live on the internet. Sorry about it. So yeah, so I guess I'm live. So let me just keep continuing with the variations and not waste much of time. So after Queen D4, Rook G8 is one of the lines that I was going to consider. The point being, you want to move this knight now away, and then at the same time the bishop would be defended. So, but we do lose our chance to castle when we go Rook G8. That is a problem, but that is fine in this case if you analyze this variation in depth. Let's see the moves. So after Rook G8, let's say white goes something like Bishop A6 or Queen E3, two options. So let's say white goes away from the harm's way, goes Queen E3, then Knight D7. And the point of this is now, yeah, as I mentioned, we are attacking the bishop and we'll put as much pressure as possible on the C5 bishop and with Queen A5 kind of moves and generate a lot of counterplay. So let's look at the next variation, which is Bishop A6. If Knight D7, Queen E3, Queen A5. And here if Bishop B7, we can capture Queen takes C5, followed by Queen takes C5, Knight takes C5, Bishop takes C6, King E7, and then we get this position. So for the viewers who are just joining, just a quick recap. The previous stream unexpectedly got disconnected, so I just started a new stream. So till this point, if you want to see like how we reached this point, I would suggest you to see the previous video, yeah, which is I think around 20 minutes long or 30 minutes long. Yeah, so after Rook G8, as we see this particular variation, if we do go Knight H5 in this position, which is a mistake, then white can go Queen A4. And the point being, now this pawn is under pressure on C6, and if Queen C7, Knight takes D5. So here is another a variation that was like truly amazing when I saw this, was that Knight D5, Bishop D5, Rook takes D5, Queen takes F4. So the most logical way everyone would be like, yeah, just Queen takes F4 and then move the Rook away, and white has double bishops, the black's king is in center, and C6 pawn is a weakness, so like black should be clearly worse. So that is good enough, but if you want to see something spectacular, there is a move which is King B1. Aren't we not just blundering our queen on A4 in this particular line? I would suggest the viewers to spend like a minute and come up with the plan why we can give that queen for free on A4. And to the viewers, if you can just confirm to me if my audio and video is fine, would appreciate it. I am facing internet issues big time today, so I'll try my best to ensure it works better on the next upcoming week's sessions. Any ideas why or what white can do after queen takes A4 if black just captures the queen on A4? Okay, so let me go ahead and explain what this move is all about. If Queen A4, there's a fantastic move in Bishop B5. Wait, we just sacrificed a queen, now we are sacrificing a bishop. What's the story behind it? The point being, if we take Queen B5, Rook E1 is a checkmate. I mean, okay, there's Queen E2, Rook E2, but still it ends up as a checkmate. Truly beautiful variation. You sacrifice a queen, then you sacrifice a bishop. You are down in material so much, but you still end up checkmating your opponent's king. So this is where this kind of tagline, they say initiative is very, very critical in chess, especially if you're going against the opponent king. You can see it as a crystal clear example Queen down, bishop down, doesn't matter if you checkmate your king, and you can generate that much of initiative on the board. So after in this position, after knight takes d5, bishop d5, rook d5. So this is a variation we saw. So this is why knight h5 is a mistake. So let's get back into the game. So we already saw rook g8, which is in my opinion a very, very interesting and a playable move. In case if rook g8 is not your move, then the move that was played in the game is queen a5. So Tony Miles wants to control the a4 square. He does not want queen a4 to happen. At the same time, he's putting pressure on the c5 bishop. So fairly reasonable move. White goes bishop b4, which in my opinion was not needed. White did not have to go bishop b4. White could have played a3 in my opinion, so that if knight d7, again g7, bishop is hanging, so white cannot go black cannot go knight d7. But let's say if black goes rook g8, again with the same idea to free the knight to go to d7, white has queen b4. And the idea of a3 can be seen clearly, because here you establish a firm grip on the dark squares after a takes b4 when you capture back with the a pawn. So after a b4, knight d7, bishop d4, it's a standard position. Both sides have their own chances. But if you ask me, I think I would take white in this position actually. Yeah. So that is this variation. And another natural looking move, but something that may not be great for white, is queen b4. The point being, after queen takes b4, bishop takes b4, a5, bishop d6, rook d8. Black has good control of a lot of squares, and I think black position is way better than white in my opinion. Especially I would consider, like, let's say if something like bishop e5, then you can short castle and exchange the bishops, and then short castle and then go knight g4 kind of ideas. So that is what we are looking at here. So let's say if in case in this game white went bishop g4, which as I said is a slightly not a natural reaction, because you're just pushing the queen back to c7, and from c7 the queen is hitting on f4, and possibly black can gain a tempo with a5 if needed at any point. So queen c7 and then g3. So white plays g3 to defend f4, and again rook g8 was an option, but black decided to go rook b8. So now the threat of knight a5, knight h5 is pretty big. That's a looming threat, and white realizes that, so white goes bishop a3 in this position, so safeguarding the bishop. But as you can see, the bishop going to a3 is a defender of b2, but it's not a very natural defender of b2 in my opinion. It is restricting the black king from castling, so it is doing an active job, but at the same time it is defending b2, so it is doing a dual role. So by that logic, it must be a fantastic piece, right? It's attacking, it's defending, multitasking piece. But unfortunately, that's not the case in my opinion here. That bishop is not doing a lot of work being in the corner of the board, and even though the castling is stopped, I feel that the black's king is feeling safe enough in e8 for now, so as white cannot really exploit it in any immediate way. So after bishop a3, black decided to go the move that we were talking for the last, I think 5 to 6 previous turns we were talking about this move, rook to g8. At last the time has come. But now, as black has already played rook b8 and also rook g8, no more castling. So castling is out of the window. But that is fine. If we see how the game continued from now on, you will realize that why castling was not really needed at all for black. So after rook g8, white in my opinion makes the most critical mistake of this game, after which white did not really have chance to get back. Till now it was balanced or slightly better for white or black. Mostly it was better for black. I don't think any point in the game white had better chances. So white played queen a4. So if we have to justify this move or see what maybe John Nunn was thinking when he went queen a4, this is what I think I came up with as a possible explanation. I thought, we generally say if your king feels very unsafe or if there's not enough pieces try to, put some more pieces near your king. Your king will feel, protected, surrounded by pieces. So maybe white thought, yeah, I mean, I'm putting my queen next to my king. That does mean my king has to be feeling very safe, right? And also queen a4 has active ideas. I mean, you're exploiting possibly a pin on the e8 king via the c6 pawn. Knight d5 is a threat always to be considered, and so on. But by going queen a4, white loses complete control of the center of the board. Earlier the bishop moved from c5, so the center control was reduced to some extent. With queen a4, the central control is completely gone for white. So after queen a4, black went queen b6, which in my opinion is the truly best move, because now we are attacking on b2. Knight e4 is a big threat coming up, so there's added pressure on the b2 pawn, and also there is, this square e3 is a problem, queen e3 check is an idea coming up, f2 is a problem. All of a sudden you see a lot of big problems for white after queen b6, and all thanks to losing the control of the center. So white goes bishop g2. If you are playing black pieces, I would suggest take a minute time and find a way on how you can improve your advantage as black. Any variations that comes up to the mind? Most likely I think the variation that people would be thinking is if I can get away from the pin, I mean either block the pin or move away from the pin. Can knight g4 be played here? Let's see what happens if we go knight g4. So this was a variation suggested by one of the viewers today, Noor. Thanks for joining the stream, Noor, today. So for knight g4 in this particular position, the idea is, yeah, you are threatening to play, let's say bishop takes c3, you are threatening some queen e3 and so on. But one variation you need to be a bit careful about is this point being bishop takes d5 or knight takes d5. Let's start with bishop takes d5. What happens if bishop d5 in this position? The point being, if bishop takes c3 is played, there is bishop takes c6 check, and the king is basically checkmated. So let's say we don't take on c3 but we take on d5. Is this not a good continuation? The problem here lies is white can go rook e1 check if he wants to, but before that he'll play knight takes d5. And if you go bishop takes b2 check, let's say, white can go king b1. And if bishop a3 check, knight takes b6, rook b6. So this is one variation where, I mean, you can maybe try to make a draw like this, or white can go queen b3 if he wants, and that would be two minor pieces for a rook compensation that white has. Or another variation is after knight d5 bishop b2. I feel white can take a chance by going bishop takes b2, queen takes b2 and king d2. This is also pretty sharp stuff because c6 is hanging and rook e1 check is coming up. So because of all these variations, it's unclear still. So knight g4 is playable but does not guarantee you any sort of advantage. As I was earlier saying, in this position black has an advantage. So it is, your idea is correct, which is to move the knight away so you can activate the bishop. So a better way to activate that would be, so if you think about it, not just implementing our ideas, but if we can do it in a way where we can also stop our opponent from executing his ideas, at the same time we can also implement our idea, it is better. So one such move is knight d7. Similar idea, you are activating the bishop from g7, but at the same time the spin does not exist anymore. That's the beauty of this move on knight to d7. So for knight d7, white went rook d3, because if not, bishop c3 was a threat coming up. So white is defending bishop c3 by playing rook takes c3. So now I have a question to the viewers. Can knight c5 work here? What happens if black goes knight c5? Is it a good move, bad move, terrible move, brilliant move? Any thoughts by the viewers? Okay, so in this position, let me go ahead and explain why knight c5 is actually a blunder, terrible move. Similar reasons as we were talking earlier. Once the knight moves from d7, then that pin again can be exploited on d5. So white just takes bishop c5. If queen b2, white can go king d2 and the king feels safe. It's worth winning a piece for that one pawn that black gave up. I mean, black capture on b2 is not worth the piece that it sacrificed on c5. So here black is worse, and if queen c5, then you just capture bishop takes d5 and black is a pawn down. And the king also is going to be extremely weak once the e6 bishop is removed. So for knight, for rook d3, if bishop f5, which was what was played in the game, which is to push the rook away from d3 so that you can play bishop takes c3. So white decided to go rook e1 check, exploiting the drawback of bishop f5. So luckily, or not luckily, I mean black had already figured it out. Black has king d8. If there was no king d8, then obviously the king is in big danger. But the point is, after king d8, if you do look, it optically looks like the d8 king could be in a bigger danger than the c1 king, because the king is technically in the center of the board, straight up in d8. All the white pieces are around it, surrounding and so on. But the c6 d5 pawn cover is just doing a fantastic job. And the pawn, that is the one reason why we often advise players, be very careful when you push pawns, and be extremely careful when you are pushing pawns near your king, because those pawns or your soldiers or that guard you from attack or unexpected threats. So after king d8, white went rook f3, because as I mentioned, white cannot lose control of or defending the c3 knight. So rook f3 was played. And here to the viewers, you can think for a minute or two. I mean, lot of winning moves are here for black, because black has got a fantastic position. But the concept that black executed over here, in my opinion, is the cleanest concept to win this particular position. So take a minute or two and figure out the variation. And just in general, I wanted to tell the viewers that there may be some internet issues or some lag during the video, as I'll try to get a better connection by the next week's sessions, but sorry for that inconvenience for now. Okay, so I guess the viewers have come up with some ideas and plans and moves in which way they want to increase their advantage as black. So I think most natural moves here would be knight c5, because now we are not anymore in the pin. Remember, king is now on e8, king is on d8 and not on e8. So the pin from a4 doesn't exist. So knight c5 is a very much playable move. So that is one way to play. Or another way is, for example, black can even just simply play something like bishop f6 and wait. Just take control of the e7 square and simply do. But the move that black played is rook e8. So why is this move so great compared to the other two variations? So the point being, rook on g8 was first of all not an active piece when the rook was here. So by going to e8, it goes to an active square where it creates active threats. And another thing about rook e8 is it is forcing white to make a decision with this e1 rook. Either you exchange with my rook or move away. If rook moves away and not exchanges, then white has just gifted black the control of the e file. In case if white does take on e8, which is what happened in this game, the g1 square becomes extremely weak, and also the king on c1 in process becomes weak, because queen g1 check means it is attacking the king on c1, right? So this is a move that is trying to remove white's defender and also at the same time improving one of his own pieces. That's why rook e8 in my opinion is a truly great move. So after rook takes e8, king takes e8, white played knight d1. So white is defending the b2 and also from the queen g1 check. So this is the point, and now what should be the move that black should play? And actually, if you think deep, I mean, I don't know if I'll be able to give that much time for you to think, because we are close to our 1 hour session mark. If you think deep, you will see that most moves, like except for one move, all other black moves in this particular position does not guarantee you an advantage. And also another idea of knight d1 for white is to go rook to b3 and exchange the rooks, or possibly rook e3 check also. So black needs to act quick and fast before white can start creating threats. And that move is knight c5. So the point of knight c5, b3 is controlled. I mean, the cleanest idea or threat is attacking the a4 queen. True. And after queen on a4 attack, so the queen cannot move anywhere. That's d4 square is controlled by the bishop, a5 or b4, none of the squares. So remember, if you remember like around 10-15 minutes ago when white went queen a4, I did mention that the queen on a4 is going to turn into a liability. It's a problem for white, and that's this particular situation why I mentioned it ahead of time, that the queen on a4 is going to be a problem. So if bishop takes c5 is played, black will just capture queen c5. Then these two pawns are extremely weak, and black will be able to deliver. I mean, rook b4 is an idea and so on. Black will be able to break through white's defense and win this game. So because of this, for knight c5, white first played rook e3 check, and then here, I mean, it makes logical sense not to go king f8 because you're running into pin, and not to, I mean, king d8 is better than d7 because you're avoiding all sorts of pin. So that's why he goes king d8, and now white takes bishop c5, queen c5, and white played c3. So now we have to break through the defenses of white. White has a flimsy pawns near the king that is defending, so it's very easy, we can break through such defense. What would be one such move that you would play to break through the defense here? Okay, so let me show the move that what black played in this game, that is d4. So here, if we have to ask ourselves, I mean, is this not opening up our king also in the process? I mean, would not our king feel unsafe on d8? Again, I have to give the same explanation. Our king is unsafe for the whole game because it's sitting on e8 and d8. But the whole game, white has not been able to play any active moves. If you see, more or less every single move by white is a reaction to black's threats. White is just reacting after reacting. Black threatens something, white goes and defends. Black attacks or like creates some new weaknesses, white just tries to go and hold on to that fix that weakness. So as white is consistently playing reactive chess, and white's position is so bad that he can only play reactive chess, he is not able to create any threats against any of our pieces so far. So because of that, it is okay to open up the position, because here the gains we get by opening the position is more than the negatives. So if we outweigh the benefits outweigh the negatives, so we'll definitely go ahead and open up the position. So after d4, rook f3 was played, and then bishop e4. So the idea of rook f3 is, yeah, I mean, if you go move the rook somewhere else, then c3 is hanging. So rook f3 to keep defending the c3 pawn. So for rook f3, black will go bishop e4, and white is forced to move his rook away from the third rank defense. So white goes rook f2. So here again position with multiple winning choices, but what would be the most direct and straightforward approach to win for black? Okay, so let's see what are our options. Maybe one of our option is bishop takes g2, one is d takes c3, maybe even f5 is an option. We are just stabilizing the bishop on e4. Bishop d5 could be an option. Pulling back the bishop to f5 could be an option. The most straightforward approach to winning this is just take d takes c3. Just brutally calculate the variations and play it out. D takes c3. The point being, if bishop e4 or queen e4, in the game bishop e4 was played, and it doesn't change if it's bishop e4 or queen e4. So before we go into that, let's say if b3, then we go rook b4 and one pawn up, and also the king is in such a bad situation on c1 that I'm pretty sure you'll be able to play a move like c2 even and win the game right away. So let's see, bishop takes e4, this is the game continuation. C takes b2, check. If king b1, it's mate in 1 as queen c1 is there, pretty straightforward. So for king d2, b1 queens. So in this position, rook b4 is also playable. As I mentioned earlier, the multiple moves win. Rook b4, if you had guessed rook b4 as a winning move, nothing wrong with it, because this is also winning. You're just winning material, and also the b pawn will end up promoting to a queen. But in the game, black promoted bishop takes b1, rook takes b1, rook f3. So white is a pawn down, both kings are on the d file. Just that black's is attacking, white is just reacting. That's the only difference, and that's the key difference. Rook b4, pushing the queen away. Rook d3, king c7. So at last the white queen moves away from a4. I think after close to 15-16 moves of sitting in a4, the queen moves to a3. So black goes a5, knight c3, bishop f8. So these moves I'm not giving a lot of commentary or feedback on them, because I think any move really wins, and what black chose was just something most solid without taking much of chances. That's the only reason, because extra material and slightly safer king for black. So queen c1, queen f2 check, king d1, queen g1 check, king e2 was played. I think I don't know, Nunn could have resigned here itself, but for some reason he played king e2, allowing black to take queen c1, then he resigned. Bit funny that he just gave up the queen and then decided to resign. I mean, he could have maybe better played king d2 and dropped a pawn on h2 than going king e2 and drop a queen, but whatever. So he resigned after queen takes c1. So hello to the viewers who just joined the stream. I'm just wrapping up the session today on John Nunn versus Anthony Miles, game from London 1982. And so to the viewers, this video will be available on the YouTube channel, and today's session was a bit disrupted in the middle, so I will it will be like part 1 and part 2, so you can watch the part 1, and then when my internet got disconnected, from that point onwards it will be part 2 of this video, so you can watch the whole game if you're just joining in the stream. So to the viewers, once again, certainly like, share, subscribe, comment, all the basic things that YouTube channels require for, because more visibility helps more viewers to join the stream and make the sessions more interactive. And another important thing that I wanted to share with the viewers is this is the third week of what we are doing. I mean, what I'm doing this weekly sessions. It's so far all the 3 weeks it has been from Wednesday 7 to 8 p.m. on Wednesday, and I intend to keep this time as a standard time unless if there's an emergency when we may have to reschedule session. An important thing is all the topics we cover is chosen by you. So every week I post in my Facebook and Twitter pages like what topic you want to choose, and then there's a polling that goes on, and then whichever topic gets the maximum votes, we discuss that the next week of the content. So if you want to make this more interactive, certainly go ahead, vote your favorite topic from the choices, and then you can see your topic being discussed in next week's lecture. And one very big announcement I have, this is nothing related to the YouTube channel or the live stream, is Chess Gyaan is planning to host its first online tournament in next 10 days. The tournament is going to be held on, it's an online tournament, completely online on chess.com's web server. The dates and all details, I will be publishing it most likely in the next few hours, so you can look out for those details in my Facebook page, Twitter feed, and all social media pages. So the tournament is going to be a 3+0 time control event, and most likely the date is going to be March 27th, which is a Friday, at 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time. And it's a 9-round tournament, and other details and all you can look at the prospectus or the flyer once I upload. There are going to be cash prizes, more importantly. So looking forward to your support, not just for the YouTube stream, but also I would be very thankful if you do come and join us in the tournament on March 27th on Friday. Okay, so that's all from me. And thanks everyone for joining on the today's stream, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all in the upcoming weeks also, and also on the tournament. Bye bye, and everyone stay safe, and